as well as, again, these kind of quest chains where you might have, 4 weeks worth of quests to kind of complete towards getting kind of a wider, greater prize, or getting entered into a select group that gets a raffle and gets a reward. We may tie, we may be purchasing mythic unicorns and tying rewards like that to these quests. It's going to give us an enormous amount of flexibility in terms of delivering new content and new events to the game on a regular and kind of consistent cadence. And so with the Ship of Quest, you're going to finally be getting an in-game event and a leaderboard, which is I'm just kind of super excited about. And again, the quest feature really gives us the ability to do some cool and compelling things. There's certain quests that need mythics. There's certain quests that need unicorns of a certain stat. So suddenly, even prior to jousting, stats are going to start to matter to a certain extent with respect to the quest system. You may have quests that require all flavors of the rainbow. You may have quests that require, heart contingent. So again, I think we're really, really pumped about this and excited to launch the first version of quests, which again, as everything we do, is a foundational feature that we look to improve over time. Last couple of things. Shadowcorn's Throwing Shade event launches on October 31st, Halloween here in the United States. I'm very, very excited by this event. The community team has been working their ass off to prep an entire apparatus, I will call it, around this event. This event lasts 6 weeks. Only hatched Shadowcorns will be able to participate. A few days prior, I'm not going to give the date away in case community doesn't want me to, but a few days prior, we're going to begin our global UGC event. This is a very important event as it establishes our world history and fiction and roots or grounds the Shadowcorn versus Unicorn conflict. We are then taking the resulting canon, which we will vote on in governance, down south here to Hollywood and talking with groups such as the Gotham Group around, again, our comic book series and the TV show that I've been teasing. Those are things that, anyway, I'm super, super excited about getting this done, and know that anyone participating, if your canon ultimately is memorialized, that becomes the basis for what we hand a showrunner and a writer to say, this is the fiction, historical fiction behind the crypto unicorns world. So the UGC event will begin a few days prior to the launch of Shadowcorn's Throwing Shade. It's something that I would love to see as many people participate in as they want, and there will be lore master badges that are granted out, which again are going to directly tie into staking V2 and have some, pretty sweet XP associated with them. Last thing I'll say on releases is that obviously Jousting, which is our V1.5 release, is already underway. We've had many team members already kind of working on it. When the quests or 1.6 team ships next week, they're obviously going to pivot and double down on Jousting. And I'm very, very excited to begin to show more and more teasers in November. I'm likely going to do a really big podcast with Pierce of Delphi, where we actually run through a jousting tournament during the month of November. So I'm very excited about that. Obviously, the last Delphi podcast, right, I think 2 days prior to the ship of the Dark Forest, was a huge inflection point for us. Again, all part of our growth strategy. And then I guess final note on the growth strategy is that November is the month in which we are kicking off our influencer campaigns, as well as beginning our direct-to-wallet targeted campaigns. I'm going to begin purchasing assets to fill these campaigns soon. And the reality is we actually need a lot more market liquidity. So I need everyone here to do their part in supporting our growth. Ideally, we're getting adult corns with full breed points. That's what I'm looking for predominantly for this program. And so again, it's kind of a crazy thing in that, we're going to be spending marketing dollars with our existing community to offer up free bundles to target wallets, based on our analysis of their on-chain data and their behavior, obviously looking to avoid clearly loyal members of other NFT communities and effectively invite them to join ours um, and claim these bundles. So again, I'm really very excited about this. It is a Web3 native marketing strategy that mirrors in some ways how we would market a Web2 free-to-play mobile game. But the beauty of it is I'm spending money with our own community and not giving it to Mark Zuckerberg over at Facebook. That is it for my updates today, Sparkly. Let's get to questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Aaron. By the way, props to Fluffy for setting up the Shadowcorn UGC event. She is amazing. She is my dungeon master queen. Dungeon mistress? And after this event, she will be your dungeon mistress too. Make of that what you will. Shadowcorns, where do I start? Have I got some tea for y'all? With a few Shadowcorns and they're not happy, is the lightest way you could put it. We'll know more about their backstory and why unicorns and Shadowcorns are so at odds with each other soon. You excited? Because I am, but let's do this town hall first. We've got a couple of things to clear up before the town hall questions begin. For any questions regarding the mechanics of our Crypto Unicorns bounty event in partnership with Coinbase, please ask about it in general chat. We also have a dedicated FAQ for all of your questions. Without further ado, let's get this town hall started. We have a 3 questions per person rule. If a question has been answered previously, you'll have to ask something else. To ask a question in voice, please press the request to speak button. The button looks like a raised hand. You can queue up at any time. Once we accept your request, you'll see a green bar at the top of your Discord. Click accept to begin speaking. When you are muted, feel free to ask your question. We also have questions from members of the Unicorn fam who couldn't make it on stage for various reasons. It's on the Town Hall Questions channel. Take note that we prioritize spoken questions over written ones. You can also head on stage and ask any question that you may find on that channel. First up are the anonymous questions. Anonymous questions are a relatively new feature. We can only have 5 per town hall. So let's see what they are. Okay, so some of them have already been answered. Let's see. Okay, we are seeing QE for UNIM. How long will it last for? Bought from the market. Is this going to be burnt or just held?
QE is likely to continue in some form through the end of the year. It is not being burnt. We are going to be increasing protocol owned liquidity. So the first time we did that, I think prior to starting QE, we had, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, maybe as much as $8,000 worth of liquidity in total for Unum. Now we have just under 100K. I haven't checked this morning, but somewhere around 100,000, right? So kind of a 20x increase was our first top up. We've obviously continued purchasing Unum. We are holding that in our QE wallet, and we will be adding to protocol-owned liquidity over time. We'll likely be adding as we start to see real sustained jumps in daily active users. And again, that's kind of part of the overall plan is to increase the amount of protocol-owned liquidity. The beauty of that is that obviously we're buying Unum, we never sell it. That protocol-owned liquidity, those LP tokens will sit there, right? So the only way Unum is leaving that pool is obviously via a purchase, which is great. So it will not be burnt. It will be added to protocol-owned liquidity over time. And again, kind of holding back on adding more liquidity until we start to see more sustained DAO growth on that front.
All right. And here's our this guy just asks this question every week. He would like an update on the OpenSea issue.
Yeah. So good old Benjamin, I won't reveal his last name, but he's at OpenSea and he's in our channel 7 days ago when I asked this question.
Hi, Ben.
Pushed on him pretty hard. He said, sorry for the delay. The amount of tokens that needed to be invalidated was more than I expected. So it will take us a bit longer to be able to start this task as it's pretty custom. So 22 minutes ago, I said, Pat Benjamin, checking in here. And that's, once again, kind of the frustrating experience that has been OpenSea really from the beginning. Their complete unawareness of the extent and the extent to which this problem has been painful for us. To be clear, you can no longer list locked lands. And if you were to list and then lock, it gets removed. Like all of that stuff works now. That has been QA'd by us and found to be working correctly. It was just if you had already locked, and listed um, prior to OpenSea's update to their watcher to actually listen for our lock and unlock events. So we still have these stragglers, which they need to go in and invalidate. So that is what I pinged Benjamin on this morning. So we'll keep the pressure up. Obviously, hard to move the behemoth that is OpenSea. It's one of the reasons that with the new web frame, which will be shipping after the launch of Throwing Shade, I think I've mentioned this before. We don't really make use of the frame around the web app itself. So if you're not playing in full screen mode, right, there's this entire frame around your game. I'm interested in updating that so it's kind of one click to everything you might need, and we'll be obviously featuring Haku, as a marketplace there. I actually met Charlie in person in Berkeley yesterday. It was great to kind of catch up with him. And yeah, I mean, obviously excited to feature them in the site as well as, links out to OpenSea as we do today. But that web frame wrapper, I think, is going to be a kind of huge win for us. And yeah, I mean, Haku is certainly servicing our needs in terms of surfacing the breeding point, the gene data and things that you might want. They were the first to listen to lock and unlock events. They obviously we generate more revenue into the treasury leveraging Haku. So again, the web frame will make purchase of tokens, purchase of NFTs, game guide, Discord, Twitter, like everything kind of one click away. And it will become something that we update more frequently as we do live events and things of that nature. So just generally, that's kind of my additional rant on top of answering the OpenSea status question.
All right. Next up, we have this question. Are there any plans on how to address the gas fee challenges that we have experienced this week?
It reminds me of Sunflower Land in January.
Yeah.
There's kind of two things, right? One is, I guess, with respect to Polygon, there are two possible options for us that exist today. One is to migrate to our own application-specific sidechain. That is very dangerous because all of a sudden we would have to manage our own validator infrastructure, as we have seen. At one point, I wanted to do that, and then when North Korea hacked Ronin, right? Like, I just do not want to be protecting from state level actors and having to manage even more infrastructure. Polygon's kind of response was to launch supernets. Supernets are effectively a shared group of validators, many of them who already validate the proof of stake portion of the Polygon ecosystem. So they're obviously high trust, vetted validators, from big groups, right? Like Blockdaemon is probably going to run one. And so these groups that are and make their business running and securing validator infrastructure. And so there's a lot of chatter around various Polygon supernets getting spun up. That would involve a contract migration. And the challenge there is players would have to bridge. So that's enormously high friction and something that worries me a lot. I'm watching very closely things like Axlar and Layer Zero. I was watching Nomad prior to their hack. But Layer Zero in particular is very interesting. It's a cross-chain messaging protocol. The TLDR there would be you wouldn't actually have to bridge from proof of stake. You would be able to interact with contracts on proof of stake that message contracts on our supernet, right? So we would move everything over to the supernet, but players would be able to play from the proof of stake network if they want. It would also allow us to extend and allow players kind of from across the EVM to play, so people on ETH mainnet and things of that. And so I kind of believe that is probably the future, is we have a bunch of application-specific side chains of various flavors that are tied together via cross-chain messaging protocols to kind of eliminate the very messy bridge friction that this space kind of suffers from. But all of those things are not ready today. The supernets are being deployed. There's actually a gaming specific supernet that Polygon announced recently. Um, I'm in conversations with the supernet team. We're still wrangling the whole validator conversation. We may get a supernet validator. Um, so that is the closest thing to which would just be migrating, our contracts off of proof of stake, such that they're not getting bogged down when proof of stake becomes congested by silly things like this whole Zen token madness. Um, so unfortunately, there's not anything I can do in the short term. What long term solutions? ZK EVM did go live a good to Polygon, and then they've been very interested in trying the ZK EVM, which Polygon just launched in testnet. And he showed me a demo of it working. It was very, very cool to see that working. But obviously, that is still just in testnet, and I certainly don't want to be the first to move over to it when it comes over on production mainnet. So those are our choices: migrate to a supernet, migrate to ZK EVM. Um, uh, over time, right? Which would step us away from Polygon proof of stake and eliminate the concern or the challenge that occurs when the network gets congested. I should say the short term fix is obviously gas estimation, right? But of course, that comes with increased costs to everyone, including us. So, yeah, it's always difficult when you have these moments. I'm very hopeful that people realize the Zen protocol. It doesn't take long looking at that white paper to know what that's where that token is going to go. So hopefully we see this thing peter out very soon. We've obviously seen it affect the number of breeds, and I need you all breeding very, very heavily to meet the marketing demands that I have. So hopefully soon.
You got that are out of context? Aaron needs us to breed heavily. He needs it. It's desired. Okay, here's a here's a follow-up question. Will gas fee challenges impact jousting?
No, there are no blockchain transactions necessary for jousting. So that is kind of the beauty of the battle loops, right? You won't have to deal with those transactions. If you're a new player, you'll obviously have to lock your jousting unicorn in once. But yeah, beyond that, there are no blockchain transactions for jousting. Which is great. And that is the thing, right? Like jousting gives us this really phenomenal opportunity to drive growth because suddenly the barrier to entry has become one unicorn. And I'm very, we're both going to kick off campaigns prior to that, and then campaigns in the lead up, and then campaigns around the launch of jousting that, again, I think are going to give us a really nice inflection point given the friction of on-ramping into the experience is going to drastically come down, which I think is great. And then a lot of the marketing campaigns that I'm doing for targeting kind of farm and land gameplay are going to obviously reduce the barrier to entry for people starting, set them up on nice kind of onboarding programs, trying to get them into the community so all our lovely people here can help them and help educate and mentor all the new unicorn peeps.
Speaking of mentoring, thank you so much to the community for spending time with me last week. We were able to set up a community-led sort of like an introduction kind of thing. Yeah, it's a nice little love letter from people in the community to all of the new people so that they know what to expect in a game design kind of way, but also in a way that allows people from the community to share what works for them strategy-wise with the current meta. So if you have anything else that you want to add on to there, we do still have that thread open in general. Yeah, we have it on the strategy forum. So give that thread a bump and share your thoughts with us. And who knows, you might be put on the list. On a good list, not the FBI. By the way, Unifam, we've done a few changes to our Discord server. Were you able to spot it? We've made the Crypto Unicorn server experience less cluttered. The categories are clear. We're using forum channels for a more impact, intuitive, and intentional community environment. We've turned what was previously three town hall channels into one channel. It's the town hall bulletin under the events and activities category. Each event, be it a town hall or podcast or guest AMA, will have its own thread there. The thread will have a link to the recording summary, and space for community questions and anonymous questions when applicable. It's also searchable and it has tags. Give it a try and tag me in general chat. That's at Sparkly Unicorn 3152. Let me know how you feel about it. Okay, let's move on to the written questions. We have one here from Mef6. Hi, why on CoinGecko? Why is the RBW wrapped ETH pool um not showing categories like gaming, play to earn, and metaverse on CoinGecko?
Likely because we haven't touched that. Brian, our CMO, is responsible for all of that stuff. So y'all can ping him on that. It's a good point. Good point. If you did notice, though, we did get DApp Radar updated, so it's showing much closer to the actual number of transactions across all of our contracts, which has been kind of helpful on that front. But yeah, where anyone in the community sees, hey, you need to be tagging here, or you need to be advertising yourself in this way on whatever it may be, whether it's CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, DApp Radar, any of these ranking sites, please get those suggestions over to us. Those are easy changes to make, and we're happy to make them. Too much surface area and too few people to watch all of these things. So it's a great suggestion. Let's get that in the list, in the queue, and over to the one, the only Brian, our CMO.
All right. Okay, I've listed that down. We'll make sure that Brian gets that message. We have someone in the chat asking, when hoodies? I'm going to give that an eye emoji. And we're going to leave it at that. Okay, next question. What is stopping the team from announcing the possible rewards from early Shadowcorn hatching? Are the rewards yet to be finalized? We're approaching the last week of October, and we don't have an article yet on how Shadowcorn staking can be done. Can we have a sneak peek on the details?
Sneak peeks are certainly coming on that front. I think as of yesterday, we're very close to finalizing the rewards. We're trying to do some fun IRL rewards that are very, I would say, kind of high quality. Of course, this, obviously we're past the snapshot, so you missed it if you did not hatch already. But yeah, we're trying to do something high quality without obviously eviscerating our merchandise budget. And I guess I'll kind of leave it at that. But we are in active discussion with several groups on that front and lining all of that up. So I think Lois, our one and only executive producer, has been hard at work on that. And anyway, it is in progress. So yes, they're almost finalized. We know what we want. We just don't know exactly how many of these super cool things we can get made on the budget that we have. And then obviously get these distributed to people globally. But again, you're going to start to see more and more of us doing rewards and things that are something we can ship to you in the real world, something that you can show off, something you can put on your desk. And anyway, there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming on that front. But with everything, it's like we've got to evaluate a bunch of different vendors. We've got to talk to a bunch of different people, get a bunch of different quotes. So it has been quite the process for sure. And then there will, of course, be some in-game items and things that will get distributed as well to those who hatched based on, I believe, the sequence in which you hatched, favoring those who hatched earlier over those who hatched later. Because we poked on you pretty hard to get that done. So anyway, that is the answer. We are close to having those finalized. Then they will get announced. And then as far as the Shadowcorns Throwing Shade event, there are teasers and more details coming up. But there is going to be a heavy element of mystery because we're doing some live Twitch streams and events as that thing kicks off. And we want everybody to kind of learn together how that game is going to operate over the next 6 weeks. Not the next 6 weeks. Sorry, the 31st, and then it will operate for roughly 6 weeks after that.
Soon TM. By the way, for any question that you might have that starts with when and then ends with insert feature here that we talked about before, you can also fill up our form on the quick links channel under the getting started category. We have a call for community accountability records form over there. And then you can just fill out the form so we can take note of the things that you have been looking forward to, and then we can make a little Notion document and share our information with you so that you don't need to be constantly guessing about it. Also, on the topic of merchandise, for our players in the Philippines, we will be in the Philippine Web3 Festival. That's going to happen on November 14 to 18, 2022. We're going to have a booth there, and with the booth comes merch. Connect the dots.
I heard a
That's
rumor there's not just merch, but unicorns and land.
Yeah, I heard that too. That sounds exciting. Imagine going to a physical place and getting NFTs of unicorns and
Uh-huh.
land.
I
Mm.
heard a rumor there might be a shadow corner too.
Yeah, and I heard that there's some things that you can only get there physically. So I don't
Mhm.
know. Might be a great place to hang out in.
It'd be fun. I'm so sad I'm missing that and have to go to Freeze in Helsinki for slush. So
Oh no.
I am, but I'm speaking on a panel with the founder of So Rare, so that should be great publicity for us just generally.
Nice. Okay, so that's November 14 to 18 in the Philippines, BGC. Touch grass with us, fam. God knows we need it. Okay, and then another question from Illist. Just in general, what are the earliest plans of the CU team to market the game? From November to December sounds like a good starting point to start, so we can put up a lot of events that are tied to the IRL events.
Big time. So the question was really just kind of on marketing, correct, Sparkly?
Yeah,
Marketing
yes.
plans, yeah. So threefold. One is influencers. We have now, I believe, fully signed three. Last town hall we had one. The first starts November 1st. I think the second is mid-November, and the third, which is kind of a duo, I will call them a power couple in the space, is going to start towards the end of November. Um, in addition to that, we're going to be starting to just drive some general awareness ads and campaigns on Twitter and YouTube. Again, that's really the smallest component of marketing spend, though. It's just generally to make sure there is broad awareness amongst the crypto kind of native crowd. As we've always kind of been largely under the radar outside of our social channels. So that's the first prong. The second and largest in spend is going to be what I'm calling our direct to consumer campaigns. In this, we are purchasing market buying assets to create bundles and then airdropping badges to very selective cohorts of wallets, initially on Polygon, and then we'll begin targeting other chains. We're going to be tying in awareness campaigns coupled with this. I'm calling it the Great Corn Drop. And so again, we're targeting wallets very specifically based on certain behavior patterns that, again, this really mirrors how we would market a Web2 mobile free-to-play game. There I would go to Facebook and I would say, hey, I need, I want to target, men and women ages 30 through 50, let's just say, in the United States, the APAC region in Europe, right? And Facebook would say, okay, well, here's the number of people, here's how much it's going to cost to target, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, in crypto and Web3, it doesn't make any sense at all to go to Zuckerberg because I can go and look at the on-chain data and understand the behavior of these potential players, right? The games that they play. Have they been net extractive? Have they been net value add? Have they been retentive? It's a treasure trove of incredibly valuable data that actually doesn't exist anymore in Web2 because of the IDFA deprecation and the data privacy laws that have come into place. And so we're going to be airdropping badges that will allow these potential players to come and claim these starter bundles. They will have a nice onboarding program as well that will be kind of tied to them joining, staying engaged, staying loyal. And so I'm very, very excited about that. This is kind of the initial major push, and I'm um, going to be kind of fascinated to see how it works out given the very Web3 native approach that we are taking here. Again, we're spending money with our existing community to offer up effectively a free to play situation for new players, right? And that's something that, again, I think is a real benefit of the Web3 space. And again, we can bake incentives into our product that draw people and players into it. So you're going to see this combination of influencer awareness campaigns tied to kind of the great corn drop. We're going to be doing a lot of PR around it, given it is I think, a rather unique marketing strategy. Many people are not deeply thinking through right now, given most games haven't even launched yet, and the games that have launched aren't really in a position where they can profitably acquire players. So it's going to be a very, I think, exciting time through the end of the year. And then the last, it's not really marketing, but I consider it part of it is continuing to build out protocol-owned liquidity during this period of time, and kind of going from there. So again, I've said many times, I need a lot more unicorn adults with full breed points spread and out on the store. The liquidity that exists today is nowhere close to the amount that I need for these marketing efforts. So anyway, again, I'm very, very excited to try it. Maybe I'm crazy, but again, this takes a template that worked very well in free to play. Obviously, in free to play, free is the best distribution possible. And in free to play, I had to go and literally give Facebook money, which of course went to Facebook shareholders, right? Now I can give money to our existing community for producing assets that we then grant out for free to select players based on their actual wallet behavior. So we can begin to, again, we can shut off these badges if we're like, oh, we sent badges to top players in this other community and they came in and they were just flipping them back on the market, right? That's the worst that could happen. And again, it's kind of a net because we bought the assets on the open market in the first place. But we could literally shut off their badges. So there's a lot of protection that we have. And again, it mirrors how I would market a game in Web 2 free to play is I would look at a bunch of cohorts. I would say, oh, wow, this channel, Germany is really performing well. Let's double down there, right? And in this case, it may be, oh, interesting. Anyway, I can't reveal that. There are a few somewhat kind of vampire attack malicious-esque like kind of shots across the bow to some other communities that we might be firing before the end of the year as well, but I don't want to shoot that bullet yet. So that is the marketing plan. I'm excited to push on it. Oh, the last thing I'll tease, I found two really compelling products in the last week and have spoken with the founders of both teams that allow a much more seamless on-ramp into crypto in terms of getting a wallet set up without having to manage keys, but gives you a ramp to take over your keys over time in a way that's like super, super compelling. That will probably be a Q1 plan, which will see us begin to broaden the audience beyond the crypto kind of native consumer. And again, one of the reasons I have such confidence with respect to our marketing plan is, we're sitting at, 3,500 plus monthly active users. We have a stickiness ratio of 60%, which means 60% of those monthly active players play daily. That is a phenomenal statistic when you look at and compare it to mobile free to play. So we have this very engaged, wonderful kind of golden cohort of players today, but we're nowhere close to saturating the Polygon network. We can roughly 10x on Polygon in terms of DAO. And that's kind of the first approach. And then when you begin to look at how many people can we pull up from Ethereum mainnet as kind of the second big land grab, again, I think that's going to be a very, very compelling, very exciting thing. And anyway, I'm going to end this rant here, but it's literally all I think about, all I dream about is growth, 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 growth.
Big mood of the day. Speaking of wallets, have you verified your wallet with us, Unicorn Fam? Head over to the Verify Wallet channel in the Getting Started category and click on the link to get your wallet verified. Shadow Corn holders will get access to a special challenge just for them so they can plan their dastardly deeds against the unicorns. We might also be using this model to gate governance to SRBW holders, but it's still under development. please reach out to us if you have any ideas or suggestions that you'd like to share. This will also be replacing our previous loyalty program form on CryptoSign, so it's a great chance to update your wallet. You'll receive any community events related rewards over here, from loot boxes to in-game items to badges, so make sure to choose your wallet wisely. Okay, we have another question. Games from Web 2 and Web 3 have announced their Halloween event. When is the start or at least the promotion or teaser of the Halloween event for CU? Follow up. Can we also expect an event for Christmas and New Year's?
Throwing Shade launching on Halloween is the Halloween event. We had wanted to do a very specific Halloween event for Quest, and we tilted that into more of a fall event, given that Quest is launching on October 26th. So you are going to get an event specific to the farm sim, but it is not Halloween themed. It is fall themed, so it can run kind of throughout the month of November. We are planning events for the month of December. That should be a lot of fun in the lead up to the new year. So those are absolutely happening. And then the Halloween event itself is definitely Shadowcorn's Throwing Shade. So that's going to be a fun day. I'm really looking forward to that. I wish it kind of fell on a weekend. It's sad that Halloween falls on a Monday. But I am very, very excited to have the Throwing Shade event kick off on Halloween.
I'm super duper excited on that as well. And of course, you can expect somewhat of a Christmas event from the community. We will keep you on your toes. GDverse has another question. Can the community join the beta test for jousting? Pretty please.
Probably not. If anyone gets access, it'll likely be the founders channel. But the
Ooh,
community at large, likely not.
okay. So possibly founders channel.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah, possibly.
Okay. Next up, any other brand collaboration after Coinbase? It's still early, but do you think you hit your goal in collaborating with Coinbase?
Not in terms of new DAO. We have seen a nice influx into Discord that seems to be sustaining. We've seen new entrants, and RBW volume increases have been great to see just generally. That is helping us with active and ongoing listing conversations with other exchanges. And then, as I mentioned, we did get introduced to the Coinbase listing team. That is a long, long road with Coinbase. But it's very, very hard to get on their radar in the first place. And just to be straight up, my primary hope was that this would be the first of kind of many partnerships with them. So I'm a bit disappointed in terms of how many new players it has driven into the game. Though after the reward distribution, potentially we'll see some people begin to activate on that front. But again, I think it's been a win from the perspective of awareness, just generally, new entrants into Discord, increased RBW volume in the market. And we have seen, I think, an attributable increase in NFT sales tied to the launch of that campaign. So again, it was a very low cost effort. And it got us in the door with Coinbase. And of course, now, we're talking to the partnerships team. Sorry, it was with the marketing event was with the partnerships team. We've been introduced to the listing team. And so, yeah, I view it as a positive win just generally, even though it did not drive the number of new DAO that I was kind of hopeful for.
All right. Okay, we do have a speaker. We have Jack. Please come up on the stage. By the way, Aaron, do you need to go at the top of the hour, or do you have a couple extra minutes for a couple more questions?
I have a couple extra minutes, and then I need to prep for a pitch that I'm giving to a multi-billion-dollar international conglomerate.
Ooh, nice. Good
I
luck.
can go a little bit over, and then I need to get my head kind of in the
Head in the
game.
game.
In that, but
Yes.
yes, I can go to probably 8:15 my time.
Perfect. Okay. Hey, Jack.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
How, hello, I haven't heard you for a long time. I have two questions. Could you give us a status update on your own delegation system?
Delegation is slated for after jousting, so it is something that is back on the roadmap and is again kind of slated after jousting. That's kind of where it sits. Obviously, even Cuckoo announced a delegation program. Narval is up to 150 accounts, 500 assets. I didn't get a response from Capital DAO on kind of where they are at. So, again, I would encourage players that want delegation now to use existing, working, and vetted tools. Delegation in its native form will not be coming until after jousting, but it is the release slated for after the next release after jousting.
I see. Thank you. And the second thing that I wanted to ask about, because I didn't catch you from the beginning, I understand there is at some point an increase in 4x4 land. Could you elaborate a bit on that? When would it be available? Because I didn't catch it from the beginning.
Yeah, 6 days from now on the 26th is when it launches. Yeah, I nearly choked on my coffee. The team had hid that in there as a surprise for me. So yeah, you'll be moving to, or not moving, but you will be able to add up to 16 plots of land on a single account. That is likely going to be the cap prior to tribes. Given again, you take 1 million, you divide it by 16, and that's, in a theoretically perfect world where everyone is running one account and not multi-accounting. That would be the total number of players that would ever be able to kind of play the farm sim. Obviously, in certain scenarios, maybe land gets broken up or becomes so valuable over time that you don't really get to 16. You do 4, you do 6, or something like that. But yeah, it's not necessarily a technical constraint. It's very much this idea that we do not want such a concentration of land amongst the few that it becomes a reflection of the real world that we live in today. And I'll kind of leave it at that, right? So, but yeah, moving to 4x4, which is going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, I need a ton more keystones than I've gotten or than I've crafted so far.
Since I have to get back to crafting keystones. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm excited to get your feedback come the 26th on all the UX changes and UI updates. So I think you'll be very happy with them, Jujak.
Next town hall, I will be there for sure.
Awesome. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, G-Jack. Okay, we have another speaker. Hey, it's one of my favorites. Hey, 404, come on over. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Doing great.
I have two questions. The first one being our Polygon node. Any updates on that? I noticed that transactions have been costly lately. I don't know if that would help out with that or transactions in general. I just wanted to see if there's any updates on that front.
Yeah, unfortunately, having our own node is not going to get us around the network congestion. There is some question now around whether we were getting a proof of stake node or a Supernets node. Regardless, they should be receiving the same amount of rewards. So the Polygon team is yet to reveal. My understanding is it's coming. The new token economic adjustment that they're doing. I don't know how close it's going to mirror what the Cosmos V2 token economics are. But the idea is like right now they have 100 validators on the proof of stake node. Those validators get Matic rewards. Those Matic rewards kind of diminish over time. This is all kind of in their documentation. And now with the Supernets coming online, which are these shared validator pools, as well as the ZK EVM chain, which they've launched into testnet. They need to rethink how Matic is being distributed to validators across kind of the ecosystem. So it's been a little bit frustrating. I love that team over there. but it's been a bit of a back and forth on, are we getting a proof of stake validator, which I think is still our preference, or are we getting a supernet validator? But yeah, 404, unfortunately, in either case, having our own validator is not going to mitigate congestion issues.
Yeah.
That would only be us migrating to the supernet and bridging off of the proof of stake network, right? And then we would be kind of in our own little, I'll call it supernet fiefdom, right? And at that point, we would be, we would not have the congestion issues that proof of stake is experiencing today.
Right. Okay. And then the other question was, how long do you think the quantitative easing of the buying of Unum will continue? I noticed it's diminished just a little bit. Are you guys planning on, how long, do you plan on doing that for?
Yeah, roughly through the end of the year. You're going to see in the Treasury report, obviously, all of this is like super, super transparent. And so, you'll know how much Unum exists in the QE wallet. And the plan is, as we start to see DAO grow and sustain, right, we will begin adding more liquidity, right? So we'll pair, obviously, USDC with the Unum that we've purchased and put it into that pool. So people need to look at the QE wallet as a one-way street for Unum. We're never, ever going to sell that Unum. We are solely focused on increasing, obviously, protocol owned liquidity. I don't think it makes sense. I mean, we obviously went from about 5 to 6, 7K in liquidity to around 100K in liquidity, even at current prices, with the first fill the pool event, right? And again, I don't want to add more liquidity until we start to see some new player growth on that front. But you can expect QE to continue through the end of the year right now, with us increasing protocol owned liquidity in tandem as we start to see new DAO, new players coming in.
All right. Thank you for answering those.
Awesome. Thank you for coming up. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for have a great day. Okay, next up we have a written question from Johnny Fiat. Interesting comments on the need to breed. I personally have not bred in months. Due to the time, effort, and costs of the top breeding boosters, and do not want to waste breeds without them. Is there an opportunity to airdrop some top boosters to get that going?
Potentially, but my design team wouldn't like me saying that, because ultimately we want you to sync resources to have access to those items. I say that though, and actually I guess in the events that I teased coming up, the fall event, there are likely going to be booster rewards similar to events that we've run in the past. So yes, I think there are likely events. Only the best players, of course, or the most successful players are going to be able to get access to those. But yeah, I totally hear you, Johnny. Those costs are rather prohibitive, even in the current market environment. Right now, though, again, I don't care about the stats of them, but I need adults with all their breed points. As many as possible, everyone. As many as possible. We do not have the liquidity that we need to grow. So, anyway, as everyone starts to see those buys occur, I would encourage people to do your part to grow our community here, and see if we can't just kind of show the world what Web3 marketing can really do. But yeah, so Johnny, to answer your question, likely there will be boosters tied to these upcoming events. So if you rank up in them, you dominate those events, you can get those breeding boosters and kick off those higher tier breeds, especially with an eye towards jousting coming up. The initial jousting tournaments and stuff, I mean, again, that's going to give us this opportunity to really start to bake in heavy rewards, given we know via a combination of luck and skill, those rewards are going to be getting distributed. So with the launch of jousting, you're going to see, again, the meta begin to shift more and more towards rewarding skilled and successful unicorns in the battle loops, while the farm sim, of course, will continue to be focused on production of the commodities necessary to support the battle loops, to support continued growth of the supply of unicorns and things of that nature.
All right, so that is going to be our last question. That concludes our weekly town hall number 20. We'll see you next week for weekly town hall number 21. Take note of the new time that we're going to have for weekly town hall number 21, everybody. We'll post a recording of this town hall on our socials, so if you would like to give it a re-listen. Don't forget to share this with your friends and fellow unicorn fam who couldn't make it. And if you have more branding questions, feel free to reach out on our support channels, the Mod Support channel and the Ask the Devs channel. This has been Sparkly Unicorn with silent co-host Stealthy Unicorn. Good morning, good night, and see you in game, Unicorn fam. Ooh, ooh.
Ooh.
Stealthy, you're gonna give us your book? We heard you finally. Okay, let's take care of some of the questions that were asked in the thread that we can answer. So let me see. From Solius J, could we get more information on how the quest will work? We will release a Medium article about that. Some things are still being finalized. From RXIS, are the missing farm upgrade bonuses being investigated? When can we expect this to be solved? Is this an issue that is being prioritized? So is it being investigated? Yes. When can we expect this to be solved? We can't give you a specific date, but yes, it is something that is being prioritized, and we are looking to fix this on a major scale. So you'll be able to see our known issue post about it under the news and updates category. We did already bring this up, and we're going to give you an update there as soon as we make a breakthrough. From former Ponzi Donner, could you lift the veil on some of the quest rewards? Medium article. Sorry. Can we have a crafting event soon, please? Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, suggestion channel. We are actually planning on making it more visible. The suggestions that we take in and like the amount of votes that it gets, etc. Okay, from Kylaxi, what's the yes, we would on the forum. Yes. By the way, keep your eyes peeled for the forum because, like Aaron mentioned, we will be having a couple of draft proposals come in, and it would be nice if you could all get your opinion on those things that will come in that I should probably not mention yet. Okay. What is the plan for the Shadowhorn staking event and jousting? Okay, this has been already answered. From BS, were there other blockchains that you were considering running on? Yes, I believe this was answered on a previous podcast. Are you planning to add more liquidity in the near future? From Yell, yes, this was answered. Unum QE also answered. What are your thoughts about double clicking the seeds on farms instead of clicking the seeds and then clicking start farming? I am going to take note of this, but also at the same time, Kaiser, please post this on the suggestions channel. I'd love to see this get a lot of votes so we can bring it up with numbers to the people who arrange for changes to be made to the UI. When
Devs do
staking
check
V2,
the suggestions channel and they interact there sometimes. Like, you never know. You might see your
yeah, like
suggestions in the next batch.
mm-hmm. Jeff and Rob and a bunch of other people check that very regularly. When staking V2, when it'll start, like the whole process right now is we're, writing the draft proposal and then we'll post it on the forums and then we'll hear what everybody else has to say about it and then we're all going to put it through a vote. When will Keystone materials be sold on the market? Hmm. When indeed. Blog post explaining genes, breeding, and evolution. When? Good question. You should probably also post this on suggestions, but from what I remember from our Medium articles, we have quite a lot queued up right now. So, when probably not soon. Also, if you could fill out the form on our Quick Links channel for the community accountability form, that would also go a long way to make sure that we keep our eyes on your request. Okay, that seems to be it. These are all of the questions. No one asked for data warehouse. Oh, so for the data warehouse, we have a post up on the poll channel under the general category. If you add your username there, we will notify you once the data warehouse is available. Last I checked, they're still figuring out like how many people they can handle. And once they finalize that and make sure that it doesn't crash, because of the traffic, I'm pretty sure they can roll it out. Okay, this seems to be all the questions. What are you looking forward to the most, Stealthy? Oh, that is right. Right, Dungeon Mistress. Yeah, this is like a great chance to see the elusive Stealthy being not stealthy. I'm excited for this one thing. Uh that every time I try talking about it, I just sweat a lot. It's a whole thing. So let's just say, so you play the game, right? And then you go to Discord. What if there's another game that you can play on Discord, also with friends, and the rewards that you get in game could be rewards that you get on Discord, and the rewards you get on Discord could also be rewards that work for something in game. Just what if?
Oh, that's really
Not gonna.
juicy.
Yeah.
We'll finally be seeing some. Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
We'll be seeing united community members. Maybe forming some,
United.
maybe forming some guilds
Yeah,
and
like
teams, and participating in lots of activities in the server. Like I enjoy seeing new faces and also old faces, competitive spirit, and the Discord server.
we're very
Anyway,
busy and we're hard at work with all of these fun little things, and I hope that you guys will enjoy them as well. I just had a really great session with our community beta testers the other day. Was that yesterday? The days are just blending together now. So if you see any of them and ask them if they're having a good time, I mean, I guess you can gauge from that whether we're going to be having a fun event or not. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much, everybody.